Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel Amit Dhakad AI. In this video, we will learn about what is class methods. What is class methods? Okay. In the previous video, we saw about decorators, and before that, we saw about the abstract class. What is class method? Class method is a method that is bind to the class instead of individual object or instance. And individual like the class, the method that is bind to the instance, that is take argument, self argument, but the class method take the first argument as a CLS. So that will have direct access of the all the class methods and variables. Okay. So that will be used using CLS dot class method name and or variable name. Okay. So we will see some examples. So let's start with the definition. So what is class method? In Python, a class is a method that is bound to the class itself rather than the individual instance. While instance methods receive self to access the unique instance, class methods receive CLS as the first argument, giving them the direct access to the class table attribute and other class methods. And class method is only created once when you create the class of object, like you have a user class, right? So if you create multiple user instance, so the instance method that is bind to the instance, those will be created each time that we create the user of instance, but class method only will be created once. So we define a class method using the Python built-in class method decorator. Since they belong to the class, they can call directly using the class name. So how they were called? Class name dot method name, and without instantiating any object. So no need to instance any class, that and we just call the class name and we call that method. So imagine a factory that manufactures smartphones. A instance method is like checking the battery percentage of a single smartphone you are holding. So class method is just like asking the factory manager to change the global default operating system for all features smartphones built in the factory. Modifying the class state. So the most straightforward use of the class method is to access or modify class table variables state that are shared across the instance. So we have this example, student. So we have class student here, we have school name. This is class variable, right? We have defining init function, self name, it will take the name, and self dot name, it will assign. We have class method here. You can see we are using class method. So you don't have to import this from any other places, like we are doing abstract and abstract method from the ABC, but the class method you can directly use here. So we have class method called update school. So what it will do, it will update the school name, right? So this is a think like you have 100 or like 1,000 students. So we have thousands object of the student, and if we keep this as an instance like self dot school name, and if we want to update the school name, then we have to go to the all the 1,000 student and we have to update one by one. But if we use the as a student as a class methods, we need to call only once and it will be updated for all the places. Okay. So we have here student 1 and student 2, Alice and Bob, and we are printing school name. So it will print up High School. Next we have student dot update school global academy, and we try to again use this one, so we will get the updated. So updated for all. Okay. So if I run this one, so you will get the updated name. So this is the use case of the class method. So if you have any variable or anything that is needed to share across all the instance, and so that you can use here, and if you want to update those variable, you need to the class method. Okay. Common is never use self.school name global academy inside an instance method to update class variable. Doing create instance variable shadow for that specific object rather than modifying the shared class system. Right? That I said like you need to update for 1000 student if we use the self dot. Alternative of constructors vector pattern. So in Python, class can only have one init functions, right? Construct method. Class methods provide a clean way to define alternative constructors, allowing to instantiate object using the different format, parsing string list or JSON files. Like other language, we cannot have a function overriding. This one have class method that we use as a to override the construction, like create the new constructor, right? So how this will work? I will print this one. So we have user, class user. We are defining init and self dot username and email. So it will take two arguments, username and email, and we have class method from string and another class method from dictionary. So what it will do, it will take, you can see here we have self and here we have CLS. This is the class object, okay? And data, str, data dictionary. So what we are doing, we will get the data as a string format like John and John at the rate example.com. So we are taking here, so what we are doing, this is comma separator. So we are using a split, so it will return username and email, and we are returning CLS username and email. Okay, so it will instantiate the class dynamically. Similarly, we are having from dictionary, so instantiate user dictionary. So what we are passing, data username, data email. So we have standard constructor user1, username, ls, and email. So we use the class method, so we can use multiple ways to create the same object from object of the same class. So here I'm using user, and it will, we are passing name and email. So this will call init function to create the object. Second, we are using user dot from string. What it means, it will create the object of the user class from the string. So what we are passing, Bob underscore Smith, comma, VOB. Here you can see we are passing comma. If we will not pass comma, this will consider as a one string, and when we try to split, so it will not work properly as expected. Okay. So alternative construction using dictionary, user dot from dictionary, we are passing dictionary, username, and email. And in the end, we are trying to print to username to like u2 dot username, u2 dot email, and u2 dot u3 dot username and u3 dot email. So this is how we can create, or you can say we can, similar to construction, we can create multiple ways. So if I run this one, you can see we are getting Bob Smith, Bob at the rate Gmail, Charlie. What happened? I said like if we remove this here, okay, so we'll get error. What error we get? Not enough value to unpack. Expected to got one. Where the user from string, it will go to here and split here. User dot user comma email. So it is trying to get the two values, but what it is doing, it is returning only one value. Okay. So name. Similarly, if I pass here this comma, right? And if we don't have here in this object, we don't have email, we only have username. How it will work? If I run this one, so you can see same thing, you will get CLS dictionary. Here we are trying to access the email, where in this class method from text.email, so it will throw error. Yeah, you can do, if you want to accept only username from this one, you can remove this from here, this one. Okay. So this is the use, like you can class here, keep in mind this we are passing CLS here, this will take the class itself. So if you want to use inside, like from string, you want to access the from dictionary class, you can call this using CLS dot from dictionary. So here you can see here, this is, we are calling from user dot from dictionary, right? User is the class name, and here we are using the construction. Here you notice that we return CLS username instead of hard coding username and email. This ensures that if another class inherits from user, so the alternative constructor will correctly instantiate the subclass rather than the parent class. Okay. So what it is trying to say, we are not using user here. User, instead of user, they are using the CLS. And CLS here. This CLS. If they use user, right? So that will be always call the user instead of the proper class name, the exact class name that is needed. Next, added comparison for the methods decorators. Okay, so method instance method, so decorator none, self the first argument, and access capability, instance state and class state. Okay, regular behavior editing instance properties. What it means editing instance property? It will update only the instance property that we are creating, like name, self dot name, self dot email. Next we have class method. Class method, class state only, cannot access self and alternative constructor modifying class variables. Static methods, we will see the static methods, none, like it will not take any argument by default. No state access, like you cannot access self and CLS, and helper function logical utility method. Okay. Next we have demo here. Okay, demo class. So here you can see in the demo class we have class value, class underscore value. This is class variable. We are defining self dot value and instance underscore show. What is this? Is instance method. We are not defining the class method here. It will take self argument and we are printing self dot value and self dot class value. Okay. Here class method, class, it will take CLS, and here we are trying to CLS dot class value. Next we have static method. For static method also you need to use the static method decorator here, and here it is, this is the class method. So definiter is even, it will take number, okay, and it will return number underscore, like it is the even or not. Okay, we will check. So what we are doing here, demo, we are passing the instance variable d dot instance dot row demo dot. Here you can see we are not using d, we are using demo dot class, so and demo dot is even 8. Okay, so for these two we are not passing any argument, like for the class so and instance so. We just passing the argument for the demo dot is even, because is even is not a class or instance method, it is the static method, so it will not access the class or like self or CLS, so it will not access the value here. But instance dot show, you can see it is self dot value and self dot class value. Okay, it can access both. But class method CLS dot class value, it will access only one. If you try to access CLS dot value, this will be error, because value is the self dot value. So this will be the instance variable, not class variable. So this is the class that is explained instance, class method and static. So how we can use both class method and static method. If you will not use this decorator, class method and static method, then this function will become the instance function. So this is for the class methods. So if you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Please share this video to your friends so I can create more content. Thank you.